My fiance, Adam, has 4 kids from his former partners, twin daughters, preschoolers, another daughter, preteen, and a son, preschooler. I have a daughter, kindergartner. He would treat all the kids the same till the wedding planning came. He picked his son as the ring bearer and his 3 daughters as flower girls, but had no role for my daughter. I asked if we could add her to be a flower girl, just like her stepsisters, but he refused without explaining. He just kept it short, saying no. My daughter heard the girls talking about it and said she wanted to be the flower girl as well, and I brought it up with Adam again. He told me 3 was enough to be flower girls and that there was no spot left for my daughter. I said we could make them 4 and add my daughter. Why not? He said it wouldn't work for some reason. I insisted, and he suddenly snapped and told me it was not a huge deal for me to be so worked up like this. I said my daughter wishes to be among the flower girls and wear and do what they do, and his daughters aren't somehow superior to mine. He gave me a nasty stare and said, "Ha, so this is what it's all about," then told me I was being ridiculous and quite toxic with this my child, your child mentality. He insisted that he treats all the kids the same, and that he can't believe I'd question that over some nonsensical issue as the flower girl. We had a full-blown argument, and he said I was acting immaturely by insisting on making this a big deal and choosing it as a hill to die on. Am I the idiot for choosing this hill to die on? Or am I being unreasonable? For those who are confused about the age of his twin daughters and son, he got both of his exes pregnant at the same time, take or give a few months. He divorced his first ex, then went on to marry the second ex, then later divorced her. Let me get this straight. In the span of 4 to 5 years, this man has gotten his first wife pregnant, cheated on his first wife, possibly while she was pregnant, got the mistress pregnant, divorced the first wife, married the mistress, divorced the mistress, dated and proposed to you successfully? Busy guy. OP, prepare to be cheated on. He has a pattern. Now he's being mean to your daughter for an unspecified reason. Not the idiot. Die on this hill and reevaluate if he's worth marrying. Seriously, just that small bit of history she shared about him would make me run and is a giant red flag. She definitely shouldn't marry this man. He got 2 women pregnant simultaneously, and this is the dude you want to marry? Marry some self-esteem and save your daughter the therapy. Grab your daughter and run. Do not marry this man. If this is how he treats your daughter now, how will he treat her after the wedding? There are 4 little girls. If 4 is too many, then there should only be 2, one of his and one of yours. Why should his 3 get to be a part of the wedding, but your only daughter is not? Why do you not have any say in your wedding? Will you have any say in any decisions after the wedding? Yep, he's showing you who he is, and your daughter will always come second to his kids. And in what world does he get to make all the wedding decisions anyway? Please, for your and your daughter's sake, break this off. How is this not enough for you to blow off the engagement? What would you say if your daughter, as an adult, brought someone like him home as a partner? Hey mom, this is Greg. He got someone pregnant while he was with his pregnant wife. Then he divorced his wife, married his mistress, then divorced her too. But I want to marry him. Geez, it makes you wonder why his other baby mamas left. This is an absolute example of gaslighting, and he does it knowingly and deliberately. You haven't said how long you two have been together, but given his previous relationships and timelines, it can't be more than a couple of years. The honeymoon phase of your relationship can't be far from over, and now he's showing you who he truly is. He hasn't learned anything from his 2 failed marriages and doesn't value you or your child. Don't make the biggest mistake of your life. Walk away now. Recently, I, female 26, have won quite a lot of money in the lottery. It's not the main prize. It was one of the top 3 though, but it's a life-changing amount in my country. I grew up poor, very poor, and while I worked my way up, my closest family still struggles. I help, but I can't fix everything. Well, I couldn't before. My winnings were recently deposited into my bank account, completely separate from my normal one. I'm not touching that money until I have my meeting with the financial advisors that I hired. I plan to use a small amount of money to enjoy and use part to improve my family's life, e.g. buy them flats that they can later on afford to upkeep, but in a safer place and of better quality. Then invest the vast majority in a different venture to ensure revenue for years to come so that I can live comfortably and help my family. The only people that know are my closest family and my boyfriend, Andy, 30. We've been together for 7 months, but we don't live together. Andy has different plans. He came up with a list of items he needs and has been pressuring me to get them before I even speak to my advisors. Basically, he wants a new car, stereotypically. He wants something like a Tesla, which he doesn't need. He wants us to move in together and for me to buy a house with a pool. He's now started talking about kids, blah blah, even though he knows that I'm child-free. I've been refusing every single request, telling him that necessities come first, and that money should be under lock and key until I speak with my financial advisors. Naturally, he's not very happy. He's been calling me a Scrooge, telling me I don't love him anymore, calling me a cheapskate. Worst of all, he now told every one of our friends about this, and they've started pressuring me as well, asking me to fund nights out, etc. And they've been very cruel when I refuse. Idiot being almost a compliment. I'm devastated. Am I really an idiot in this situation? Am I the idiot for not wanting to spend frivolously? Not the idiot. Unfortunately, your boyfriend now sees you as an ATM, not a girlfriend. It's not you. It's a sudden influx of money that shows people's true colors. He and your friends will not leave you alone. They will suck you dry of the money and then dump you. I would dump him and block them, then move ASAP. You need new friends. Oh, and you've only been together 7 months? Just 7 months. And he just makes demands? That he also spread the news of your win. He behaves as if it's his money. Well, I bet he thinks it is his money. It would be best if you ended it. He just sees the money, and he doesn't care about you anymore. Keep the money safe and unload the boyfriend. He'll only get worse. Hun, you do not deserve this. He's cunning and selfish. When you would not comply, he told your friends, something you didn't want. His tactics will increase and expand if you don't set a boundary or cut him off. You deserve someone who respects your wishes and is a supportive partner. Congrats! Winnings usually amplify the worst in people's character. Stay true to yourself or you'll regret it. Just my 2-cent advice. Since you sound like a generous person, if I was in your shoes, I'd start figuring out who's sincerely asking for help and who's asking for what they want and will always want more. I also wouldn't buy my family houses because they might want more and more, and you'll only get scorned from them for not doing more, even if you give in to them until you're bankrupt. Good luck because life is going to change. I, 29 male, had a kid, my daughter, with my ex-wife, 32, 10 years ago. And there's no real way to sugarcoat this, but as soon as she was born, I left, and I never ended up seeing her in the hospital as a baby. I was never really present in her life at any point, but I ended up getting a divorce 11 months later, with her getting full custody, of course. I married young, was really stupid, and thought I'd end up being a good dad, despite having no skills, but I got scared that I'd turn out like my dad and chickened out. Not really an excuse, but an explanation, I guess. I paid child support for the first 3 years, but stopped afterward. I've been speaking with the girl's mother about reconnecting with her, but she thinks I should stay out of their lives. But I think making amends is always possible, so I'm not sure. I want to make things right, but I will respect their decision. I've seen her a few times, but her mother's always introduced me as a friend. She says she will tell her when she's ready. I've been dating a girl, 28, for about 10 months, and I really like her. I think I could see a life for us. And I know that sounds weird, but she's also said the same. I also spoke to my daughter's mother about meeting this girl, but she says absolutely not, and that's a bad idea. But if I want to reintroduce her into my life, isn't it fair that she gets to see my life too? Am I the idiot for this? Her mother says it's a terrible idea, so it's making me think that I am, but I just genuinely cannot see why. Obviously, I care for this girl, and I will care for her life too, but a relationship has to be two-sided. I don't think it's out of the question to show her my life too. You are the idiot. You're not her father. You are a stranger to your daughter. You paid support for 3 years, which means for 7 years the mother's been alone, even financially. You don't get to walk back in because you have a girlfriend you think you might be with forever. This child isn't a relationship device. She's a human whose life and feelings matter more than you and your selfish desire to make amends. Try therapy to deal with your daddy issues before marriage and having children with this new woman. Why did you stop paying child support? Why haven't you started paying again? Sounds like OP owes 7 years worth of child support before he gets any say. After that, it's still going to be a long prove it that he's serious about being in his kid's life. The obvious conclusion is that his only motivation here is to con this new girl into thinking he's a halfway decent person, or at least not someone who will do to her and her potential child what he did to his ex and hers. The fact that he's clearly only interested in the child as a human prop to deceive his girlfriend and doesn't register the emotional harm that would do to the child pretty solidly indicates that he would likely do it again. Precisely. He knows she'll eventually find out he has a kid and knows that once she realizes that he ran out on the woman and child as soon as the birth happened and even stopped making payments 3 years in, she'll know what a selfish jerk he is. Your daughter isn't some trophy to show off. I, 30 female, have a set of triplets. Their father's supposed to get them every other weekend, but he rarely gets them. Maybe once every few months if he has a girlfriend he's trying to impress. So my daughters are mixed. I'm very particular about how they look most of the time. If we go out in public, I make sure they look good. I make sure their hair is done, and they have very nice dresses. 99% of the time, if someone sees my girls, they look magazine-worthy. However, they are toddlers, and you just don't put on a pretty dress on them when they go to the park to play. I had taken them to get their pictures made for Christmas, and after, we went to the park because they deserved a reward for being so good. So I changed them into some really warm rompers and coats. They also had hats and gloves. They weren't nasty or anything, but playing in dresses in the winter is just a no. They needed warm play clothes. My ex called and asked what we were doing, and I told him we were headed to the park. He wanted to see the girls, so I told him to meet us at the park. I assumed he would be alone, and I kind of assumed he wouldn't show up at all, because it was very out of character for him. He showed up with a woman and a child. He immediately got angry with me because the girls weren't wearing pretty clothes. They were wearing winter play clothes. He also complained that one of the girls' hair looked a little messy. She's a toddler and messes with her hair, so of course it's messy. Also, she was wearing a winter hat, so you could barely see her hair anyway. I told him no, I wasn't going to put them back in their dresses, and I wasn't going to keep fixing her hair just for her to take it down again. It's stressful for her and me. She was happily playing and didn't care at all. Anyway, he was very angry, and I'm not sure if I was being the idiot or not. The woman he came with apologized to me for his behavior, and I told her not to worry about it. Edit to add, he's always been particular about outward appearances. He's always clean-shaven and meticulous about his hair and clothing. Nothing can be even slightly dirty or messy, so I wasn't that surprised he immediately was upset about their appearances. Not the idiot. He doesn't help you with the triplets, but then shows up out of the blue just to criticize your parenting? I'd remind him that they have 2 parents, and he's welcome to be involved with dressing them and doing their hair anytime he likes. I hope this idiot is paying child support. He villainizes you for taking care of your child. Yes, of course it's a good idea to risk my children getting hypothermia to impress a man who doesn't care about them. Whoever that man is, he's a wretch and a leech. He only wishes to impress based on living, breathing beings with feelings that care and cherish. He uses living children as show and tell for his new fling every other week, which is gross. But ultimately, he fails when he can't keep up the perfect parent facade in front of his newest prey, a mother who sees right through it. And he was being so rude that a woman he brought along, possibly his girlfriend, who you'd never met before, felt compelled to apologize to you, his ex, for his behavior. Wow! How many more barrels can he scrape the bottom of? Then tell him he can dress them how he likes the next time he bothers to pick them up for his appointed weekend. My wife lost her mother to cancer 2 years ago. It was horrible and it took a toll on everyone, but obviously my wife more than anything. They were very close, pretty much best friends. We knew it was coming and the illness took over our lives, which is to be expected. I also knew my wife would struggle when she finally did pass, so I tried to convince her to go to therapy, but she refused. We have 2 older children, a young teen and a young child, and this year she gave birth to our youngest. This is the only grandchild my mother-in-law never got to meet. The whole pregnancy was very bittersweet, and my wife kept saying, "I wish Mom was here. I wish Mom could meet him," etc. Again, to be expected. But the issue has come up that even before our son was born, every event went back to her mom. At first I understood, but it's become like we have this cloud hanging over us, preventing us from fully enjoying happy moments. I've tried talking to my wife about it gently, but she gets super defensive and refuses to even talk about therapy. Our oldest became a teen over the weekend. She had spoken to her mom privately and said she'd like for there to be no talk of her grandmother. She wanted a happy celebration and to not get sad that her grandmother wasn't there. My wife agreed. We went out to dinner and everything was fine. Towards the end, we had cake. My wife said, "It's just so sad that Grandma can't be here. She'd be so proud of who eldest has turned out to be. I wish she could be here." Our eldest got mad. She blew out her candles but didn't speak for the rest of the dinner. When we got home, I spoke to my wife privately and said what she did wasn't fair. I said she could have excused herself if she was that emotional, but she honestly didn't seem to be. I told her that this couldn't continue to happen. She told me that wasn't fair. I said what isn't fair is this rain cloud she forces over us. She's been off ever since and won't really talk to me or our eldest. She's saying that we're insensitive. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your wife needs grief counseling. She's the idiot. Your child just had her entrance into being a teenager made about death by her mother. It's not about her grandma. It's not about your wife. It's about your kid, and she was denied that. So your wife is being insensitive, not you or your child. Yeah, the wife's grief is very understandable, but it seems like she's tainting the memory of grandma for her daughter and for the rest of the family. It's enough of a constant situation that your daughter, who's only a young teen, literally asked her in advance not to do this one time for her own birthday celebration, and your wife wouldn't do it. It's obviously a problem. And just to point out, even if she refuses to get therapy, that doesn't mean the rest of you can't. You may have to learn coping strategies or ways to redirect. I don't get this take. Why should the rest of the family, who by all accounts seem to be doing fine, be the ones who have to put all the effort in to tiptoe around Mom, who refuses to get help for her apparent issues? It's been 2 years. 2 years of OP trying to tell her to get help, and of the kids hearing about their dead grandma on every special occasion. The person who needs help is the person creating the problem. Why should they have to figure out how to redirect their mom's behavior? They're kids, not trained therapists.